Welcome back to Tarot by the Bay. I'm David. Okay, the big, beautiful bill got passed. Vote was 51 to 49, 51 for, 49 against. Two Republicans joined the Democrats in voting against this. That would be Senator Rand Paul of Kentucky, who opposed the provision to raise the debt ceiling by $5 trillion. I mean, I understand his point. If you're not considering adding to the debt, why would you need to raise the debt ceiling that much? And Thom Tillis, a Republican senator from North Carolina, who said the legislation would cost his state nearly $40 billion with a B dollars in federal Medicaid funding. So that's called voting for your constituents. That's a good reason. Paul's reason, that's like saying, I really don't want to pay off the credit cards I've been charging everything to. It's lame. There should be no debt ceiling. There should be no debt ceiling. If you charge it, you got to pay for it. Why would you? Why would you limit it? Okay. As somebody who pays off his credit cards at the end of every month, why would I want to carry interest over at 25%, 30% interest rate when my savings gives me 4%? You know what I mean? And that's a CD, 4%. That's not a savings account, 4%. Of course, then we have three GOP senators, Murkowski, Lee, and Scott. They were late to the Senate floor. And three others, Rand Paul, Thom Tillis, and Johnson. Which Johnson is that? Ron Johnson. So they wouldn't support the bill in its current form. When Murkowski showed up on the floor, she got swarmed by John Thune and his goons. And they basically badgered her into voting for it. I suppose I could frame that another way, but the way I read that article, that's pretty much what happened. I'm sure they just said really nice things to her instead. Let's see. Johnson, Lee, and Scott and Loomis walked out of Thune's office with Vance and headed to the Senate floor, where they all ended up casting their vote to support the big, beautiful bill. Now, the other day I mentioned that the Senate parliamentarian had ruled that Medicaid spending wasn't legal under the Byrd rule for this bill. GOP leaders were able to rewrite that provision so that it can remain in the bill. Senator Tim Sheehy of Montana threatened to not vote against it if the Interior Department was authorized to sell millions of acres of public lands. Sheehy did agree to vote for the legislation after GOP leaders promised he'd get a vote on the amendment to strip that language, forcing the sale of public lands. So back to the House it goes. And then the House will see if they want to make amendments to it and then vote on it. And once the amendments stop, or once they make the amendments and vote on it, the Senate gets it and the Senate can approve it or not. And then we go. So it's June 29th, Sunday, as I record this. Their target is to complete this by Saturday, July 4th, so that they can go on an extended break. I'll read on the bill passing, but everything I've read in the past indicates that this bill will go through. The empathetic side of me is enraged by this. The level of cruelty is just off the charts. Off the charts. Now, this is stealing from the poor to give to the rich. This is the antithesis of the Robin Hood stories that we've heard. Now you're just robbing from the hood, as it were. Okay, mind you, there will be unintended consequences for this. Absolutely, there will be unintended consequences for this. This will lead to a rise in crime and a rise in violence. Why do I say that? Just look. If you take the most vulnerable people in this country and you start removing essential services for them, food stamps, SNAP programs, healthcare, support for them, they're going to lose hope. And people without hope get desperate. And there's two ways that they can get desperate. they can start taking things that don't belong to them in order to sell them so that they can or trade them so that they can afford food or paying their electric bill or doing whatever it is they need to do to survive. Or they're going to get angry. And that leads to radicalization. They are much more easily led to radicalization at that point because you can point to the enemy. You know just how the Republicans are saying it's the brown people that are the enemy? You're going to get some people, some narcissists, who are going to gather these folks up and tell them that it's these people, whoever these people are, but they're going to be wealthy people, powerful people, elite people, as it were, the ones in the upper echelons of our society, and that they're the cause of their suffering. And they will have an actual better argument to make. And if you have people with no hope and they're sick and they're tired, they can be radicalized, there will be some really heinous acts that are conducted. That's the path we're going down. It's not Civil War 2.0, it's French Revolution 2.0. I'm not advocating for that, but it's like FFS, man. Do you not see how you can just go those steps? It's not a wild logic leap to see it happening. In some ways, that's exactly why I want the wealthier folks to contribute more, the corporations to contribute more. With great wealth comes great responsibility. You want to protect your wealth? Do everything you can to make sure that the folks underneath you that helped you get that wealth are happy and content. So they don't come after you to grab your stuff because they're jealous and angry. Maybe it's self-serving, but it's also fair and it makes sense. Thom Tillis, after voting no, said he's not running for re-election in North Carolina in 2026. Understandable, because obviously Trump is going to try and primary him and dump a bunch of money into the primary vote. Tillis might just be done too. He's been in the Senate for X number of years. He's got his lifetime health care. He can go on and either retire or go into the private sector. He's probably made his money. He's made his money. He's done his influence. And I think he sees the writing on the wall for himself. But let's start off with Thom Tillis. Let's look at the energy around him as he voted against this bill and where he goes from there. And then maybe we'll attack the BBB at this point. Okay? So, entertainment purposes only and all that. Come on, my fellow revolutionaries. Viva la revolution. Come on down. Let's take a look and see what the energy is around Thom Tillis and his vote against the big, beautiful bill. I'm not reading on Rand Paul because he sucks. 7 of coins. Okay. Reaping what you sow. Thom Tillis is a financial hawk. He doesn't want to add, he didn't want his state to lose Medicaid funding. As I said in the intro 8 minutes ago into this video, Thom Tillis was concerned about the $40 billion his constituents in North Carolina were going to lose. That's what a representative government's supposed to look like. Represent your people. I don't want to kick out $40 billion. Are you crazy? Crossed with the 4 of coins. It's easier to keep your mouth shut and just agree with what's going on. I don't think he can live with himself. He wanted that money. His people, honestly, his view is his people need that money. They just do. And he was on the path of right. Well, I realized $40 billion in Medicaid's cuts. Well, that'll help fund that tax break for the ultra wealthy. It does nothing to push down the deficit. He could have sort of voted for it, maybe if it pushed down the deficit. But it's giving tax breaks to the ultra wealthy. There was no win in there for him. There was nothing for him to vote for. It's like, my folks lose so that some wealthy people can get money. I can't even sell it to them that this is just, tough love in cutting the debt and saving the country. He can't even frame it that way. in the past, the star card. Honestly, I think he came in to the Senate with an idealized version of what he was going to do. He was going to stop government spending. He was going to stop wasteful spending. I'll bet you if I were to look him up, you'll find out that at some point or another he probably lobbied for a balanced budget amendment and wanted the deficit cut, that type of thing. That's what he was going in for. He was going in pie in the sky. Current situation is the emperor. Okay, he's the senator. He represents his state. And right now, the leadership in the GOP, the leadership in the country are against what he is for. Overarching energy is the strength card. I think, well, I hate to say this because it's ridiculous. It takes a certain amount of courage to stand up to Trump, the mad emperor. There shouldn't be courage necessary when you're standing on the side of right. You can go back to your vote and say they wanted to cut $40 billion in Medicaid funding for this state. Where are we going to come up with that money? My constituents are going to lose health care. That's why I voted no. Who in his state's going to say you're a Republican in name only? Where is that going to show up? I fought for $40 billion for you people. He had a strong case to make. Is him leaving weakness? Yeah, maybe. But it also, it opens the door for Democrats. Just saying, because you're not going against an incumbent. And I'm sure North Carolina will be putting in some ultra right-wing MAGA person to replace him. So North Carolina will have the choice of a Democrat or MAGA come 2026. Lesson to be learned in Nine of the Wands. So he knows that by taking this act, by voting his values, he knows what's coming next, and he's jettisoning it. The outcome is the Knight of Pentacles. He just handing the baton over. Although you could look at this as being a gift. This is a gift because he might be handing North Carolina over to the Democrats because he's leaving, and now it's now money is going to come in. Jeez. I'm laughing because that just means that for the upcoming election in 2026, there's going to be a lot of money coming in to North Carolina for advertising dollars, both by the Democrats and the Republicans. So, again, the chuckle was, I feel bad for those folks that live there because the radio ads are going to start in about 6 months, and the TV ads are going to start in about 9 months. And it's just going to be, you won't be able to turn on the radio or the TV set without hearing attack ads the entire time. They will get no peace until after the elections in November 2026. Because Thom Tillis isn't going to run for re-election, and he voted against this. Okay. The Big Beautiful Bill. God, it's such a stupid name. I apologize to my American viewers and to my non-American viewers. Trump, the great marketer, he's got the worst marketing names ever. The cut tax bill. He's such an idiot. Alliterations are what you do in children's books. The CCC bill. This is the BBB bill, the Big Beautiful Bill. And I will say that he uses the terms big and beautiful all the time. It's like one of his dozen vocabulary words. He's got 6 adjectives he uses to describe things he likes and 6 adjectives to describe things he doesn't like. At some point, as just an exercise, I'm going to sit down and look at Trump's praising and insults of people and come up with that list of 12. Big versus little, beautiful versus nasty, that type of thing. The likes of which nobody's ever seen. Oh, God, who could have ever thought? Harder than you think. Oh, God, the guy's an idiot. Absolute idiot. Big Beautiful Bill, I hate saying that, is going back to the House. I wonder if the House is going to take time to read it this time. No, I know the answer to that. The answer is no. They're not going to. They're just going to close their eyes, hold their nose. A couple will hold their nose, and they'll just sign it because spineless jellyfish, that's what they do. How will the House? How will that bill do in the House? The Sun card, yeah, that's an extremely positive yes type card here. Here it comes in all its glory coming into the House, crossed with the Five of Cups. Huh. Maybe that's the disappointment of us. It could very well be that some of the folks in the House are disappointed what got cut out, but they saw what happened with Thom Tillis, and do they want to give up their jobs? You know, I think they're going to have to vote for something that they don't like. There's that King of Cups again. Underneath all the King of Cups, it's the I'm now reading this as immaturity. I mean, I don't think it's Mike Johnson, but I think this is just Trump's immaturity that they feel like they've got no choice. They have to get this thing through. In the past, the Five of Wands, my God, this House is so dysfunctional. The Republicans in the House are so dysfunctional. The Senate's got their hand on it. I don't know if this really represents the Senate. The Senate got their hands on it, changed things. The parliamentarian came in, changed things. I think that's what they don't like about it. But if you're going to get it approved by July 4th, then you got to do what you got to do. They feel like they're stuck. Here it comes. There's nothing we can do about this. You know, we've got to carry Trump's water. This is what the president wants. And we're going to give him what he wants. This is that big opportunity for them to deliver to President Poopy Pants. Would it be nice if this was, nope, we're not approving it because it's not as awful as we want it to be. We want it to be as awful as it can possibly be. Nope, that is not the case. Not the case at all. Okay. Why? Next question is why? Spiritual sense. Now, I think I've answered this one before too, and you've heard it probably from a gazillion other readers on the internet. It just seems like the only way to pull out enough of folks from the MAGA camp is to make them suffer miserably to the point that they just can't take it anymore. The downside of that is that we're all in the boat together. We're all on the same ship together, which means that if they have to go through misery, guess who else has to go through misery? That we don't feel the need to go through. Did I happen to mention about 1 million times that I hate group projects? So what's the spiritual lesson behind this? Why? Why must we endure this? And I think endure is the right word. I had one person in the comments say, well, you volunteered for this. Yeah, that's what I'm told. I think this train jumped the rails back in 2000. I know many of you are going to tell me it jumped the rails back in 1980 or 1974 when Ford pardoned Nixon. And some might even go further back than that. But you get the idea. To me, this feels like this country and this timeline jumped the rails at some point. I don't like Mr. Toad's Wild Ride here. Why are we enduring this? Knight of Pentacles. I'll have to just take that as the same thing I had here for Thom Tillis. It's the opportunity. There's an opportunity here of values, health, something like that. Hanged Man. Looking at things from a different perspective. Maybe tossing out certain things with the bathwater, baby in bathwaters and stuff like that. An opportunity for collaboration when collaboration seems dead. and going away, although I come with immigrants and migrants with this. It's an opportunity to build a better America. It's like that. Where am I saying? It's like the negotiations have died, and they need to be rekindled because we need to look at things differently. Moving away from the turmoil that we're in. Yeah, I mean, that sounds great. Sounds fantastic, doesn't it? Oh, it's a new beginning. It's going to be great. Oh, by the way, we're going to have to irrigate that wound, and we can't use any type of pain-numbing thing. This is going to be excruciating. Hope you enjoy it. It'll be better at the end of the day. At least the gangrene will. At least we'll clear out the gangrene. Won't have to cut off the limb. Where's my chainsaw? Okay. So there you go. This is going to hurt you a whole lot more than it's going to hurt me, but it's for your own good and for your own benefit. I mean, that's got to soften the blow, right? I swear to God, this is probably the most sarcastic spiritual channel that you watch. You know, I can be salty sometimes, but that's because I look at this and to me it's so ridiculously unnecessary. But I don't make up the whole population. I make up one person. Anyways, thank you very much for watching this video and supporting my channel. Remember, we are here. Thank you for supporting my channel. I do appreciate it. This reading is for entertainment purposes only, but I hope you found it insightful, and I'll catch you on the next video. Take care. And stay salty.